just through shuffling, I've seen a bit already. Something's coming. And I want to say it's going to knock you off your feet. It is going to arrive quickly and it's going to confuse you. 2442. And it's going to arrive during a time where you just found balance and stability. It's going to ask of you that you set things right, that you bring balance back in. There's something being restored here, and this is going to ask of you that you allow yourself to fall, to show up as though you've never done this before. There's more to this. This feels like something you came across in your dreams, and there's this sense that you'd set this thing aside. You'd set it aside. You had to start looking at life without it. You completely let go of it. Like you blocked it out. You were like, it's enough. I've got to get myself together. I've got stuff I need to do. So you didn't ever imagine that this will still happen. Okay. How did I get here? I've been listening to Alanis Morisette today. I'm going to leave like a little list of songs below because I've been wanting to make videos about all of them, but this one is Uninvited. She gives a dramatic performance at the Grammys, and the instrumental is just, and her voice come together in the most dramatic and eerie manner. And it reminded me of the movie that it was the soundtrack of, City of Angels. And I just read up on the story of City of Angels, and essentially an angel falls in love with a human woman, with a woman, and he basically gives up his angelness, his life as an angel, his life in spirit, to fall into earth so that he can be with her. The way Wikipedia describes it, it says, with the guidance of a man who has already made the transition from immortality, the angel falls and begins the human experience. So the way I'm feeling into this is going to ask of you that you allow yourself to become a beginner. The reason I decided to do a reading on this song is because when I got to this particular track, it just sent this energy through me. Like I could feel the energy of the song, and I've heard it many times before, but this time I felt like I understood what was going on. And what was going on is that there is someone who identifies as a healer, a guide, someone who's in touch with their intuition, okay, and has learned and gathered a lot of wisdom about how to do life and an understanding of a lot of things. But there is a human experience that they crave and that they must encounter for personal growth. She says, must be strangely exciting to watch the stoic squirm, must be somewhat heartening to watch shepherd meet shepherd. And so what's happening here is that she's having to admit that she's thrown off. Someone who generally knows what to do, someone who's usually the teacher is now becoming a student. They feel completely stripped, completely seen, and they just need a moment. She says, I need a moment to deliberate. This song has a lot of tension. It has a lot of tension. She's observing herself. She's observing him. Observe her. It's like a very interesting energy. And what's coming to me is that this unsettling feeling is because it's as if for the first time someone else is holding the cards. And I'm saying this, let's say, for me as a card reader, it's like someone's taken my cards and they have access to my cards. This tells me that there's information that they have that I don't have. This is part of what's unsettling. And somehow there's an understanding that this journey must be embarked on. I just heard words come through as a song. And the words said, "It must be scary to watch a stairway burn." And I went to look at Alanis's lyrics to see if this was there, because it was on the back of her tune, but it's not there. It's getting very blurry, you know, her words and my words. But that's the point, is there's no going back. And so that's why it's scary. There's no going back. But this is a good thing. This is a good thing. It's something like, I want to say a dream come true. And it's also something like becoming familiar with a ghost and then they become human. It's like that. I just got the world and the Hierophant and the High Priestess. So this is actually like, this marks the end and the beginning of a cycle. The end of a cycle of something that was very spiritual, and the beginning of a very human experience between high priestesses. I'm getting all this major arcana. I've got the sun and strength, which tells me that this is like a completely opening experience that's going to require courage. I keep splitting the deck just to, as I'm shuffling, and I've got more major arcana. I've got the Lovers and the Empress. This to me is the Empress, the one who's got it all together. And, this Empress has to make a choice. I'm told here, love is not supposed to be stressful. You just got used to it being that way. Oh my goodness, I just got the weirdest image. Can you imagine what it feels like? The version of yourself you see in the mirror. And then one day, out of nowhere, you're faced with that human version of you looking back at you. Something else keeps coming up. In South Africa, we have this term. It's like the equivalent of yikes. Like, ooh, it's aye, which is like, oh, here it comes. It's usually used like, you better get scared because this is hectic. 0707. Anyone who's been following this channel for a while knows that we don't do love readings here unless it's a love reading. And most of the readings, when I come across love, I often reflect and realize there was much more being taught, way more being taught than the concept of a love relationship, between two people. Okay, I have started laying out the cards, and the first card I got here is the Two of Cups. So that's what's going on here. And this is quite intriguing because I see the way these hands are locked in to each other. Okay, so this love conversation has been happening for a while, because it's like you can feel it coming and you really want to prepare as much as you can and get to the truth of the matter so that you don't fumble. Okay, I posted something on my personal Instagram recently, and it's literally, I'm going to show these cards on the screen so you can follow this reading with me, because this is going to get lit. But basically the hands look basically exactly like this. The topic of my piece was the paradox of love. And I've been, I don't want to say struggling, I'm going to say maybe not deliberating. I have been interrogating this understanding that we have of love relationships. Okay, this is my way of sort of educating myself, out of service education, if you know what I mean. And I came across a paradox. It's a paradox that what love truly is not what we understand it to be, the majority of the people in the world. Okay, we romanticize it. And although the actual feeling of love is very romantic, it is romantic. It's an amazing feeling. It's just not a feeling that you'll often encounter within a love relationship on a consistent basis. And so what it asks is that you find that sense of love and get in touch with love within yourself first, okay, your self-love, so that you have something of a benchmark as you interact with someone else. Because when you find love inside yourself, it's not like up and down and everywhere. I mean, it has its teaching moments where it sends you to those places, but that's not being governed externally. It's a very internal process while you figure out how to find your peace in that love and balance. It's a powerful zone. It's a powerful zone. But now, this is the trouble, because now how do we relate to another person when our biggest sense of love comes from inside? What is it exactly that we look for in a physical union with someone else? And I believe what's coming through now is that what we look for is to experience things we cannot experience alone. There are aspects of it that we cannot experience alone. They form part of the human experience. And I've grappled with this because I ask myself, and I haven't dived into the Bible about this. I just mean, marriage, I believe, is supported somehow in the Bible. I'm sure someone understands what the Bible says on that. So this paradox has been coming at me because I'm like, God is love. And so now, where's the information on how to bridge this gap between that understanding and now like an understanding? And I'm not using marriage here in the traditional sense, but now for us to marry ourselves to someone else or be in relation with someone else, where is the wisdom on the middle ground? Why do we do it? And I believe that this story of the city of angels and the angel giving up, surrendering his immortality to be able to be with this person in the flesh, that's the matter. The Two of Cups is crossed by the King of Wands. I took out a second tarot deck to get clarity on this King of Wands. And again, lots of major arcana. I've got the Tower, I've got Judgment, I've got the High Priestess, and I've got the World. This is like, it's also speaking to the closing of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. But the King of Wands is masculine energy with vision, with passion and vision, and like a strong, powerful idea of where he wants to lead us. And something I've never noticed on this particular King of Wands card, besides the fact that he's got a lion behind him, so this speaks to his courage, the courage he has to follow his vision. He's holding his wand. What I've never noticed is that there is a burning crown at the tip of his wand. So what this is doing is that it's a humbling experience, because I feel like this crown that's sitting on his wand is yours. And so this is asking you to humble yourself, because you obviously you need his vision, you need his leadership, you need to accept that. He's got something that you cannot get anywhere else. As I've been interacting with this card and just these other cards that have popped up, I want to bring into context my new understanding of love readings. When we interact with tarot cards, they can very quickly speak to us about love. And the thing is with love energy is that it's love. So love is love. However, you can look at the Two of Cups as another person, you and another person, and this dream love, this twin flame kind of love, you can look at it that way. However, at this point of my journey and understanding how powerful the twin flame journey is, it would be remiss for me not to point out that this is more divine masculine integration. This is, and again, because this thread of love, it feels the same way. It's the same energy. It's love is love. And so, but how it shows up needs to be applied in a real life context. And that's not always in the sense of another person. It can be. And I don't like to have these dual kind of things, but I've listened to a lot of, particularly my own readings where love comes up. And I realized that here we were actually talking about me, two aspects of me. Okay, so this is an integration of the visionary in you, and you accepting this person into your life, this person that makes you look in the mirror, and sometimes you're scared when you see what's in the mirror, and this person that you see scares you. It scares you because this person is powerful. I think that's the best way I can put it. And I'm also getting this sense as I unpack that with this integration, and this came up for me this morning, actually. This came up for me this morning as I was contemplating wanting to integrate myself fully into my life. What I mean by this, and this video is going to end up longer than I expected. What I mean by this is I have a life on pyramid energy. And I've walked quite a journey with pyramid energy, having to integrate the power of this space, and dealing with the contrast I'm faced with, in my real life, my social world, that kind of thing. Because pyramid energy for a long time is something I kept to myself for purposes of creative freedom. And also just taking out this factor of wanting validation from people who I feel limit me from my growth. If I just want to be this person yesterday and become that person by tomorrow, your social life and your usual space is not the easiest place to achieve this, because you constantly have reminders about who you were, and you're surrounded by people who are more comfortable with the version of you they knew, okay, or they know. I'm taken back to Psalm 23 again. It says here, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." This to me speaks again of integration, and this long period of preparation, and a kind of, this is integrating who you've become back into the world that you've existed in. And it's appealing to this sense. It's appealing to this need you've felt for a long time to return back home, whether it's for a visit or whatever it is, to return back home and be in the place that you've grown up in, without hiding, and being completely who you are. You're now proud of yourself. And so now you're tired of hiding, basically. And so this is integration. This is consolidating all your parts, and no longer kind of making small of who you've become for the benefit of others. And this is not about proving yourself. This is not about proving yourself to anyone. It's just about your freedom. It's very much about your freedom. And for a lot of people, this kind of may feel like it's come out of nowhere. But you know that this does not come out of nowhere. It only comes out of nowhere because you could only prepare this elsewhere. And I'm saying this, there's nothing you need to do here. There's absolutely no action to be taken other than everything you've been doing. And so keep doing what you've been doing. There's nothing else you need to do, but you cannot fight this. You cannot fight this. This is a part of your growth. And this is, earlier when I saw the tower and the high priestess again and judgment, it made me think of, it's like this other energy speaking to you, and it's saying, I'm calling judgment on your intuition. You thought this was never going to happen. You thought this was never going to happen. Okay. And so that's to say, this confirms your intuition for you, for your benefit, for your growth. It confirms your intuition and highlights to you how strong your vision is. And just to add, when I say you don't need to do anything, I'm also saying this thing is already happening. Outside of your awareness, this thing is already happening. So I'm seeing here, I've laid out the rest of the cards. I couldn't handle the suspense. But I'm seeing major growth here. I'm seeing rapid growth. Whatever you've been working on, I see it being multiplied. Where you're coming from is the world and the Eight of Cups, and that is closing a cycle. I mean, we've spoken about the closing of a cycle, and this is from walking away from what doesn't serve you and changing the way you make decisions. So this is definitely a follow-up on divine masculine integration. The last video I posted, where you're headed is the Three of Cups and the wheel. This is everything turning. This is the wheel turning into a space that you're going to enjoy much more. It's going to be growth, and there's a sense of collaboration here. But in the top of mind, I've got Eight of Swords and Six of Pentacles. So this is where you get, I don't want to call it stuck in your head, but this is overwhelming. This is where you're being knocked off your feet. Okay. Because it's more than you expected. And it's overwhelming. In your subconscious, I've got the Ten of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. And this is where it's explaining that this is what you've always wanted. And realizing that you need to not get in your own way. And so this is, Four of Swords is no longer fighting and being resting, you know. So this is something you prayed for a long time. And then you got so fed up of like praying for it and waiting that you sort of gave up on it, put it aside. And then it finally knocks on the door and you consider being comfortable and staying right where you are. And so that is what you're not supposed to do here. And you actually can't help it because you're in a rhythm. You're in a rhythm and a flow that you need to continue with. And this is going to happen irrespective. And you already know. So it's like you're putting yourself, by getting stuck in your head, you're putting yourself between a rock and a hard place because you found a rhythm and this is where your balance is. And now it's going to result in all this other stuff that you suddenly don't want to be ready for. You don't really have the option here. And that begs the question, why would you want to have that option? So this is not self-sabotaging, and continue putting your energy into what you've been putting it into, and in a similar way, and trust your vision. 10, 34, 34. I've had a lot of numbers in this reading. Some I haven't mentioned because I pause and then forget to mention. But that 34, 34 is taking me back to The Secret Is Out love reading. I think 3443 came up there. And it came with a 10. And so now this is more like you're following your own leadership. So now this is that twin flame energy within yourself. So the aspects of you, and instead of them mirroring each other, they're now walking in one line, one foot in front of the other, self-leadership. Also, the 3 and the 4 speak to me about stability and structure. Okay, the 3 is the stability and the structure is 4. And the stability is also like a balance, and the 4 is like, it's the structure. And together, these numbers create divinity. That's the number 7 when they're put together. This is how I'm seeing the numbers speaking to me. In the advice, this is aligned with what I was saying. Initially I had pulled the 6 of Cups, but now I've got the 6 of Wands as well. So these are 2 6s. And this is keep this, the 6 of Cups is equal give and take. So this is what you put in is what you get out, and that is stay in this space, keep doing what you're doing, keep giving, you'll keep receiving, and enjoy the journey. In your surrounding factors, I've got the 3 of Swords, clarified by the Emperor. So this is speaking of this Empress sitting on, I'm not sure what this is, if it's Jupiter or which planet this might be. It's Mars. It must be Mars. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm completely wrong. I don't know. But he's holding a chess piece. And I don't know. I don't play chess, so I don't know what this is, but it must be the king. And there's stuff that he still has to, there's decisions he has to make. He's still healing. So this is, I'm not externalizing this into another person, another man now. I'm referring to the part of you that still has a lot of things in your physical life that need to be set right. Still a lot of decisions to be made. Moves you have to make very carefully. You feel like quite under pressure in terms of that. You are reminded right now that that will heal. That will heal. And to keep, again, back to the advice, to keep doing what you've been doing. Because the solutions are going to appear. This is everything you need is happening within this work you're doing on yourself and your work and following your purpose. Everything is actually being solved already in this process. And so to step outside of yourself and to try and like resolve all these things, you know, with your mind and your hands, that's not the solution. In the area of what you want the most and what you're afraid of the most, I've got the 9 of Wands and the 3 of Wands. And it's taking me back to something I downloaded a little earlier around, please, this is when I was still in the love reading type of space. Please don't stop and wait for this to happen now. For this to actually be seen through, you need to carry on doing what you've been doing. This is important because as soon as we grasp a thing, a manifestation, we lose our connection to it, if you know what I mean. It's like it's this thing where you release it and that's when it comes in. It's that. And you've learned many times that that's how it works. So please don't revert to that now. And that these 2 cards are sending me back to the advice. Keep doing what you've been doing and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Stay in the present. Stay right here where you've been. You guys, this is a big energy. It's a big energy, and we should not underestimate the need for integration. You know, we are multi-dimensional beings. This means that you can feel where you are in the physical present, and you can feel another energy coming from a different timeline, and you can feel as you start to touch it. And so this integration is so important if you want to pull yourself into this timeline. So some things need to be, these are like certain thoughts that sometimes still come up. I actually can see that you're no longer taking them in and absorbing these thoughts the way you used to. I'm seeing you watch the thoughts. I'm seeing you watch the thoughts. And I'm kind of stuttering here. And I feel like that's how you're catching yourself when you see these thoughts. You recognize them as past thoughts. And so you're in a very good place. You're in a very good place because you can see where you still need to heal. You can see where you still question yourself. However, you're not acting on those. You're not acting on those. So this is more, we are in a positive habit forming mode. In your outcome, I've got the 5 of Swords and the 10 of Wands. This is some self-forgiveness. This is being patient with yourself. And this is realizing that you're not going to have absolutely everything sorted immediately. And you're kind of just going to let yourself be. This is mercy on yourself. This is compassion for yourself. And I have the 4 of Wands. So this is also, you're going to be celebrating yourself, irrespective of all the work that still needs to be done. There's something to be said about not having to be perfect. Oh, that's more Alanis Morisette. I'm going to link all of these songs in. This one is called That I Would Be Good. You know, in this song, she repeats that I would be good, even if I gained 10 pounds, that I would be good, even if I lost my hair and my youth. You know, she talks about all of these things. She never concludes in the song. All she's saying is, that's what I want. That's the kind of love I want. That's the kind of life I want, where I will be loved irrespective of my flaws and my shortcomings. Even if I become clingy, even if I, all of that. This is mercy. And we are worthy. We are so worthy. Something else that's been coming up for me is that, we live in a world that is so dualistic in the way it processes its environment. So you must either be this or that. And if you're like this, that means you are that. And this completely confines us and suffocates us in ourselves, unable to embrace all facets of us. The healed parts, the unhealed parts. This is the nature of being human. Yet we allow ourselves to we move through a time where we're convinced that this must be the case. And then as we engage in this process of healing and discover the best parts of ourselves, we still find ourselves like subject to this judgment. And so you're released. You're released. I've pulled out a Rumi oracle card. This is the celestial rose of Ma. It says, "The searching in the dark finds the light of faith revealed in love. A spiritual gift is on its way to you. This gift signifies the close of a period of suffering. A time of new opportunities opening as a flourishing and thriving release of your unique soul fragrance into the world. Let the past go and become fully available to the present moment, for this is a gift worth having." Wow, that was a beautiful reading. In closing, I just want to thank all of you for your company here and your community. Reading through the comments truly warms my heart. I'm never too attached to the comments. However, I honor them, and I honor your honoring of me. This community is a reciprocal thing. When you thank me, you're essentially thanking me for showing up here. And my showing up is thanking you for showing up here. Because for me to show up has asked a lot of me and my life. But for you to show up, recognizing that perhaps my voice could be triggering to you, the things I have to say are triggering to you. This is, and understanding myself and having come to understand the audience here at Pyramid Energy, it's a big show of faith in yourself to even engage with this content. It really is. To an extent, it's like my heart is in your hands and your heart is in my hands, because these things we're talking about here are they're deeply internal. It's we are putting words and pulling words from a sacred space, and we're working on these things. I like to compare this to like open heart surgery. It is. You put trust in someone when you engage to this level with their content. And I honor your willingness to go this deep. Sending you so much love. And Merry Christmas for yesterday. Merry Christmas for yesterday.